Hello, and thanks for staying with us. It's political platform on your network of choice, Raypower, live from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am TV. We are trying to look at what the other paper of the Senate will look like this morning. We're not too sure yet, but we are told that there will be a valedictory session for one of the members who died. Yesterday, the Senate, after 4 hours of closed-door session, at about in a third attempt to move forward with the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, after 4 hours of closed-door session, had to adjourn sitting to go for the, I think, night of tribute for that deceased senator. And today, there will be a valedictory session. So we're not even too sure whether any other thing will happen in the Senate after that session. But two important bills, that of the 2026 appropriation, 2026 budget, and the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. What actually is the problem? My colleagues are here, Adebayo Bodrin and Abulu Osamagu. In Ankunle Adewale, yes. In 2021, 2022, when the current Electoral Act was being put together with the debate and all of that, we also saw a foot dragging, especially in the Senate. Remember, over whether there will be network in every part of the country, whether there should be the IRF transmission of results, and all of that.
And the use of beavers.
The beavers at the time. And, the INEC chairman was invited, technocrats, I remember the Nigerian Communication Commission, everybody was invited to make their input, and all of that. This time around, they are talking behind closed doors. The lawmakers are not even ready to tell anybody what is being discussed and what is not being discussed. So we can only speculate, especially what is holding the Senate from moving forward with the electoral. But we know that the issue of IRF, we know from what the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has said, that there were a lot of litigations after the 2023 electoral. So they are trying to be slow, according to him, so that they don't commit some mistakes that the country will end up with several electoral petitions after the 2027 general election. So what are the issues? What do you think is holding the Senate? And we know that in 2021, 2022, it took the civil society, it took the media, it took Nigerians putting pressure on the Senate to do that, to move on with that bill. It appears that is the way Nigeria has to go this time. Everybody call your senator, everybody call your house member, put the pressure on them so that they move forward to do the needful.
Thank you, Teve, and good morning to Kunle and Abulu in the studio. Good morning to our listeners out there, wherever you're listening to us in any part of the world this morning. For me, for every move for us to advance in the process of deepening democracy in this country, there is always a clog in the wheel of progress. You have cited the case of Senate in 2021, 2022. You even recall then that the then chairman of NCC appeared before the Senate and said, it's not advisable that we use beavers.
That's executive vice chairman of Nigerian Communications Commission.
It's not advisable. But if not for the pressure, is beaver not saving us today? I do not see a situation where people prefer clinging to power than ensuring the progress of the society. Because that's exactly what the Senate is doing. From the information at my disposal, at the executive session yesterday, one of the issues they were opposed to was still penalty for vote buying and vote selling. And so it means our senators are riggers. It means our senators are the people perpetrating vote buying because they are not popular. If they are popular, if you go to the polls and test their popularity.
The argument of them put forward is that your opponent can decide to do that, rub it on you, so that they will say you are the one, and then you will be implicated. So that even the issue of early campaigns, that's what the argument some of them are putting forward.
Every vote buyer and vote seller is known. So What we need to do is our security agencies must do. You see FCC to attend police stations. What are they doing arresting those people? In the last governorship election in Osun State, for instance, I carry a camera. I will enter a bush path where I saw bullion van loaded with money. And we immediately transmitted it on AIT. How can they say they are not aware?
Did you got a tip off to follow the bullion van?
We got a tip off, and we took it. Two bullion vans in a push while they were releasing money. The last local government, the last governorship election in Osun State. So you cannot say that these things are not known. They are just running away. Why are they afraid? It's because they are perpetrating.
They're afraid of jail. Perhaps they're afraid of jail.
I don't think it's a case of them being afraid of, but let me first say good morning to everyone, David, to you, Bayo, and Abula, of course, all our listeners too. I don't think it's a question of them just being afraid of jail. First, I think we're all asking them to commit class suicide, simply because a lot of them know that they cannot defend their elections, the 2023 elections that brought them into the Senate. That is a fact. So
when you say is it most or some of them?
Let me say some of them. Particularly those from Plateau State, they did not win. Some of them did not win.
Yeah, it's the court. He won't say they didn't win. The court nullified the election of the PDP.
Yes,
and they said, look, PDP didn't have the structure, so they could not have conducted primaries, and they gave it to them.
They gave it to them, and if you listen to the Supreme Court judgment, you realize the fact that they are not supposed to be in the Senate today.
Well, the question also now that Bayo has raised is about who enforces those court judgments. Because often I ask the question, who polices the police? When there's a court judgment, for instance, the Supreme Court judgment that Bayo has talked about here now, who enforces it? Now, we're talking about lawmakers. He has mentioned lawmakers from Plateau State specifically. They know what the law says. They know what the court said, yet they did what they did. So what does that tell you? I leave you to draw your conclusions. But I'm saying that the Senate dragging its feet on this critical amendment, especially as it concerns the penalties for vote buying. I find it strange, but not surprising. Strange because they're thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about Nigeria. They're not thinking about entrenching democracy that will be enduring, that people can trust. How many people were registered for the elections in 2023? We had over 70 million voters. How many of them voted? Nigerians do not trust the process. And these are the things that will help Nigerians to have some more faith in the process. Because when you set aside the fact that, okay, maybe INEC has not properly cleaned up its voter register, a lot of people go out, get accredited, and they don't go back to vote. A lot of people don't even leave their homes at all. And that's a fact that we have known since elections began in 1999. So the senators must wake up to the fact that they don't own Nigeria. They are serving Nigerians. We said it on Monday on this program, that holding a closed door session is not right. Executive session is not, especially on electoral reform. It is not right.
It's parliamentary practice.
It's not parliamentary practice.
Their standing rules allow it.
You cannot secretize.
They are servants of the people.
You can't be holding meetings in secret on issues that affect Nigerians.
No, their standing rules allow that. That's why they will take a motion before going into executive session. For instance, you don't expect them to sit and discuss issues of national security and intelligence on open television.
If they were discussing issues of national security, we will understand. We're talking about electoral reforms.
Perhaps
all over the world, when parliaments discuss issues of security, national security, they do it in closed door sessions, but not when they're discussing security.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, dear listener. Don't forget, we started with the issue of the card reader then in 2019. and we have
2015.
2015. I mean, it evolved. The IRF and what have you, and it's still evolving. The concern for many people is that is Africa ready? Patrice Lumumba will tell you if Nigeria sneezes, Africa catches cold. So is Nigeria ready to sneeze? Are the lawmakers aware the position we hold in Africa? The African countries are looking up to us. You cannot have issues of electoral reforms in a closed door, and when you come out, the only thing you talk about is not even electoral reform. You're talking about the revenue. So the issue of electoral reform is very, very germane, but it's very difficult to place any law on the issue of vote buying. I want to disagree with the Balogun saying that they know them. They know them. It was our campaign. It was our campaign on such issues that led the EFCC to begin to monitor election day to go around. We pushed for this 2019, we pushed for this 2022, and they went out and they arrested some persons. But not all are known. Moles are planted. The ruling party can plant moles in the opposition, and to make them feel that it's very difficult to discern who is a vote seller. Who is a vote seller? It's very difficult to discern. The people collecting, yes. Are you going to tell me that the women in your village in Ikiti State that collected 2,000 naira, you can't arrest them, that they are using the
sold,
who sold, who gave them the money? So most can be planted. I don't think in that aspect, it's very dicey to discuss that one. On the other issues on the IRF transmission of results is what Nigeria are talking about, an issue of a special seat for women. Those are key aspect of the Electoral Act.
No, the special seat is a constitutional issue.
Sorry, I mean to say. These are the IRF issue are key issues that Nigeria want to hear them say. This is how to go. Let's transmit results immediately or not.
Let's put it into proper perspective. The Supreme Court, in its ruling in the issue of, I think, the presidential election petition and several others that have gotten into it, it said, look, yes, the law provides that INEC can make rules. INEC made rules introducing the use of BVAS, IRF, and all of that. But that for IRF to become an issue, to become part of what can be counted in terms of the data you bring from the IRF and all of that, for them to pull back results and the rest, there must be the law backing it and how INEC should use it. And that is what is before the National Assembly today. Whether that IRF, that BVAS should get that legal backing
as electronic voting, as a part of the electronic voting system,
moving forward. So that we need to understand that clearly. But there are several other aspects like the vote buying, early campaigns, and even the number of days for consideration of petitions. That petitions should be exhausted, completely dealt with before swearing in. And we've seen that in several African countries. Once the election happened, before the president is sworn in, the Constitutional Court will certify the results.
It happened before in Nigeria.
Yes, in 1979. 1983. So even before then, we used to have longer periods for tribunals, so that you even forget that tribunals are existing. So that they have to bring back the days, 180 days. You have to fight between time, so that it's compressed. But it can be compressed further, so that the aspirations or the expectations of Nigeria. So there are several issues involved in that. But then, how do we get the Senate because we are also running out of time. The INEC must issue notice of election going by the 2022 Electoral Act 360 days. And going by INEC's guideline, elections, the presidential election will always hold in the third week, in the third Saturday of February of the election year. So that you can, up to the next 50 years, you can count the number, you can get the dates for those. So it's settled. But 360 days, it means we're talking about February 20 something or thereabout. And we're counting days, as it were. So how do we get the Senate in particular? Should people start calling their senators? Should the civil society, I know that at some point they wanted to do a protest march, take a protest on the National Assembly, to put some pressure, on them, media interventions, and all of that. How do we get these lawmakers to listen to the people of Nigeria?
You see, I love the quotes by Abulu that when Nigeria sneezes, Africa
That's
catches
Patrice
Patrice Lumumba, which he quoted. I think that's several African countries have left Nigeria behind in deep democracy. Ghana has left us behind. Ghana is being used as an example where vote counts. So what kind of code we're gonna catch from us? You see the process of even picking the electoral personnel, the national chairperson, as they call it in Ghana, and the national commissioners, is open, it's advertised. It's not people an individual. So they have left us behind, and these are issues being canvassed currently in the National Assembly that they are asked to pass it to law, and they are jittery over it. I still insist that if there is no evil plan to buy votes to rig election, this still penalty must be made for vote buying and vote selling.
One good thing about this debate about the Electoral Act amendment that we're seeing, and even this defection of governors and some other persons, is the fact that the elections actually count. The political leaders know that they must strategize. They know, like if you are saying, they know that those who are criminally minded must be prepared to attempt to buy votes. They know that the beavers is important. They know that the voters must go there and vote, and the vote must be counted. They know that if IRF is used, there will be transmission. People will view it and all of that. So they know that this process has evolved, has gone past a number of those manipulations that used to happen in the past. And I think Nigerians should be encouraged that, look, this is where the journey on which we are. And if the politicians are jittery, the way we are, Balogun putting it, that everybody they're afraid, of what the Electoral Act or the electoral process will deliver, then Nigerians should know that they have the power to decide eventually who wins the election, and this should be entrusted right now moving forward.
Tebe, I want to join Deba Bodoni to refer to the Patrice Lumumba quote that Abulu Osemoagu brought up earlier on. Now, when Nigeria sneezes, the rest of Africa is wearing face masks. That's the truth.
They learned from COVID.
They have learned from COVID-19. The rest of Africa is wearing face masks, and that's why very many African countries have left Nigeria behind in terms of democracy. Now, Ghana is far more respected than Nigeria. Elections in Nigeria still carry a lot of uncertainty, a lot of credibility issues, and we must go beyond that. Thankfully, we have gone past the days of ballot box snatching
yes,
and all of
stuffing,
that. Ballot box,
mass thumb printing, and all of those.
Could you believe I was at a polling unit in 2003 during the elections, and I saw a queue of voters. Once somebody votes, he goes back to the back of the queue. He will go to the back of the queue
to go and queue up again,
come and vote again. And I saw it. I caught it on tape. So the real question now is, who does not want credible election in Nigeria? Who does not want peaceful election in Nigeria? The senators must answer that question. Do they want Nigeria to have peaceful, credible, and effectual elections in this country? If they do, then they must think beyond themselves. They must think beyond their personal ambitions to remain in the Senate or to keep getting elected, and go and test their popularity with the people. Because it is then that democracy is truly, truly in action.
Let me quickly answer
we have to take the mails. Yeah.
Who does not want election to hold Nigeria? They are the DIGs. Desperate, insincere, and greedy politicians. Well, fortunately now you have talks, you have supporters that have become DIG, desperate, insincere, and greedy supporters who go around sycophants behind these politicians, deceiving them. So until we change our mindset as politicians, the Ghana example will keep being in our mind and will not get there. So the politicians and the supporters have to sit down. Do we really want to move Nigeria to the next level? Electoral-wise, democracy-wise.
The power is in the hands of the people. They are the ones who will decide. Yes, if the senators are full dragging, I know Nigerian people, they know what to do, as it were. And we must not say everything about the Nigerian electoral process is not positive, or that everybody has gone. I know that Ghana, for instance, took lessons from Nigeria over decentralization of announcement of election results. They took that notice from Nigeria, So there are good things too about the Nigerian election that other countries are also picking. But we have to learn faster. Don't forget, Ghana returned to democracy earlier than Nigeria. It is a process. We'll commit the mistakes, but we have to learn faster. That's the difference. If Ghana didn't have somebody to learn from, at least we have those who can learn from and avoid the mistakes and make a system that people will trust and believe moving forward. We shall take a break now. After that, we'll listen to the mails, what you have to tell us this morning.
Good morning, esteemed listeners, and indeed viewers on our YouTube channel at Raypower 100.5 FM Abuja. My name is Aricha Ujiti.
And I am Chidera Izudu. Welcome. Our first mail is coming from Amechi Obochi from Kubwa here in Abuja, and he says, "Good morning, and please permit me to raise these issues. The Kogi state government yesterday ordered the closure of all primary and secondary schools across the state. There are speculations that this decision was taken to allow security operatives carry out coordinated raids within the state. The closure is reportedly aimed at preventing possible reprisal attacks by the terrorists on vulnerable locations, particularly schools. Now, while this may be considered a proactive and commendable safety measure, it raises concerns about the wisdom of indirectly revealing security strategies to criminal elements. The shutdown of schools could have an effect and signal to the bandits that security operations are imminent. Anyway, school closures or not, the Governor Ododo should understand that such measures may only force these criminals to temporarily go into hiding, with the possibility of resurfacing after the security operations are concluded. Secondly, the federal government has proposed a 3.6 trillion naira deduction from the Federation account to fund electricity subsidies between 2026 and 2028, a move aimed at sharing the financial responsibility among the federal, state, and local governments. However, one is compelled to ask, does the federal government still subsidize electricity? Yes or no? Anyway, distributing the so-called burden across all tiers of government may appear like sound fiscal calculation. The average Nigerian only feels the real burden, paying for bands A to Z tariffs while still relying heavily on generators for power supply. If 3.6 trillion naira is to be withdrawn from the Federation accounts, Nigerians deserve at least a clear assurance that persistent darkness in homes and even areas with installed streetlights will become a thing of the past. Transparency is commendable, but steady and reliable electricity supply would be far more meaningful, especially considering the promise of improved power supply delivery within 1 year made by the president during his campaign period."
Comrade Monday Ame, writing from Abuja, says, "Good morning, political platform crew. I wish to use this medium to commend Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo for his courageous decision in ending the over 5 years infamous Monday sit-at-home in Anambra State, as Onitsha main market was reopened on Monday with a beehive of activities and sales by traders. The enthusiasm and excitement by the traders is very electrifying, epic, and so gratifying. This extraordinary measure by the governor will no doubt put a stop to the whopping 8 billion weekly loss to the economy of the state. Meanwhile, I call on the governor to ensure that Adequate security is provided for traders at the Onitsha main market and residents in the state, and never allow non-state actors to stoke fears in the minds of law-abiding citizens. Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State and now Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo deserves their flowers for bringing this inglorious chapter of sit at home to an end in the Southeast, and all patriotic citizens should support them to ensure that this is a closed chapter in our history forever. And congratulations to my dear friend, Dr. Amaechi Anakwe, on this uncommon audacity of his governor in ending the Monday sit-at-home quagmire. God bless Nigeria.
And from Abuja, Henry Emunono says, hypocrisy, as it is said, is the tribute vice pays to virtue. Yesterday, the Senate debated a motion on the need to stock out health facilities with adequate emergency drugs and vaccines, including anti-snake venom. The senators lamented about the sorry state of our health facilities and observed a 1-minute silence in memory of late Ifunanya Wangene. But in my view, this is hypocrisy at its high level for a body entrusted with oversight of a facility bending over about the organization's chronic and recurring poor performance. Nigerians should ask National Assembly members what they evaluate or verify during their oversight visits to hospitals. Do they speak with patients who can't afford treatments? Do they check the stock of available medicines and the commodities? Do they ask about functionality of the equipment? Has Johesu been on strike since last year? And how come they are not bothered? May God forgive us because we have failed our generation.
Dixon Eka, writing from Abuja, says, surprisingly, the Nigerian health workers have been on strike for a long time, paralyzing health services across the country, resulting in death of many helpless, vulnerable citizens. And everywhere is calm with the current crop of leaders who continue to patronize foreign hospitals and celebrate their children's graduation abroad and taxing Nigerians to death at the same time. In all of these, Nigeria is generating so much money from taxes, has borrowed more than necessary, and yet the government cannot maintain health workers that saves lives and cannot pay indigenous contractors. What are they doing with this so much money from subsidy and others? This is unthinkable. What other nation in the world will tolerate such administrative recklessness? Unfortunately, the Tinubu administration has criminalized strikes and protests, and the citizens have concluded to tolerate everything from this government. The NLC, TUC, and Johesu should wake up to save the lives of Nigerians. Health issues should be a priority for any serious government.
From Orozo in Abuja, Malayo Victor and John says, good governance and dividends of democracy is almost suspended for calculation, permutation, and agitation for 2027 general election. The Abuja-Lokoja road is 20 years and still under construction. My advice, party manifesto and ideology must be prioritized above personal agenda. Ministers are supposed to have a target and deadline for achievements and responsibilities. Economy must be diversified. Feeding bottle federalism must change to resource control. God bless Nigeria. And that is how far we can go on the mail segment. Keep sending in your mails to politicalplatform@darkgroup.com, and you can join the conversations on YouTube at Raypower Abuja.
Indeed, always a delight listening to you. There is a senator in the National Assembly. His name is Sunday Karimi. He's representing Kogi West Senatorial District. Yesterday, he brought a bill for amendment of the Constitution to increase the revenue allocation to the federal government. According to him, what we have now is outdated. The federal government currently receives about 52.68%, the states 26.72%, and local government 20.60%. But then he is saying, when at the time people are talking about restructuring, devolution of powers, states should have more power, more money, he's saying he wants the federal government to have more money. Perhaps he has seen much more. I think this is about his first time. After Dino Melaye, our friend Smart Ade, who exchanged themselves, he is coming in and he's looking at things differently.
I think he's a different Nigerian. It's not thinking like other Nigerians.
And he has a right to it too.
Well, he has the right to it, but he's not thinking like other Nigerians. What Nigerians are asking for now is devolution of power.
Perhaps when the bill comes for a second reading, we expect that it will not progress. It should be dead. It should be dead.
It's a bill that must be killed.
Dead on arrival. That is the program this morning. Political Platform will come back tomorrow. Most probably, we'll get to know what the Senate has done. Will there be another closed-door session? Will they even take a look at the Electoral Act Amendment Bill today? What are the issues? Perhaps we'll be getting much more from the background on what is as it were. And that's the program. Like I said, always join us on at Raypower Abuja 100.5 Abuja. That's where you can watch what is happening in the studio. Like we always say, be a good citizen and stay out of trouble. I am TV Tiaf.